Thank you very much, Alex. That was fascinating. I'd now like to take this opportunity to invite each of our regional speakers up to the stage in preparation to discuss the amazing work that's been done around the world. So if I could please have Dr. Manuel Sanroma, Juan Luis Ticinetti, Sherry Zamir, Mike Zito, and Abdullah Al Jazeeri up to the stage. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. So to kick us off, we're going to open up with Dr. Manuel Sanroma. Manuel is a fully fledged professor of mathematics at Universitat Rovira i Virgili, but perhaps more importantly, he's also the current CIO of Barcelona and is responsible for a number of the information innovations that are happening in the city today, and is a key player in driving the city towards becoming one of the smartest cities in the world. So without further ado, Manuel.
Thank you. First of all, don't worry, no more mathematics. I'm a mathematician and a physicist, but I will not talk about mathematics. But yet, hearing Alex, it comes to mind two comments which I should make. For many years, my background is in astronomy. I tried to extract information on the origin of the universe from just 100 galaxies. You have heard that there are billions and billions of galaxies. I took my time trying to do it. Now there are robotic telescopes that every day get information on millions of galaxies. So there is very few information. So Alex, keep trying, but still more information is coming. But the second and more important comment I wanted to do with respect to the very fascinating and interesting work of Alex and his colleagues is that if we try to measure, to compare different cities, it's like imagine that what you're doing is trying to compare different football clubs just from the small information you have when they play in one place, in another place. Imagine trying to compare FC Barcelona, Chelsea, Arsenal, Ajax, Feyenoord, Paris Saint-Germain, only from the small information you have in one newspaper that Barcelona played against Real Madrid once, and then Chelsea played against a local team in a local festivity. What you need is to build a league. You need to build a league, and then you can measure who is best. Last year, I don't remember, some years ago, it was Barcelona. Because we played against each other in a league with rules, and one year is you, the other day is other. So we like to compete. What I want to say is that for this to make sense, we have to build the league of cities. Cities have to participate in this thing. And alas, I'm representing a city, so if we talk about smart cities, I am honored to represent a city here, and I would like to convey to you the vision of our city concerning smart cities, because if we are talking about cities, we need to talk with cities. So, sorry. Barcelona is like any other city in the world, is reinventing itself every day, but we don't have a new Barcelona every day. We have a new Barcelona every once in a while. Sometimes centuries go, and sometimes only years. We like to say that we are in the 5.0 version of Barcelona. The 1.0 version was the Roman Barcelona. As you know, Barcelona is a more than 2,000 years old city, founded by the Romans. And for many centuries, Barcelona has not much to say to the rest of the world. Centuries passed, and the Roman Barcelona was there, as many other cities in the world at that time. By the way, most of cities are born but never die. States, we tend to believe in states because we have known them for the last 200 or 300 years. And I always say that I don't know where Spain or Catalonia as a political entity will be in 200 years. But I bet you the few money I have that Barcelona will be there in 200 years, as most of all the other cities in the world. Cities are very particular organizations, are a great invention of humankind. Very few cities have died in history. Alexandria is there since Alexander the Great. Rome is there since it was founded by its original inhabitants. And Barcelona has been here for the last 2,000 years and will be here for sure for the next centuries. Detroit is going through bad times, but will be there for many centuries. It will not die. Cities are very special places. So the Roman Barcelona was on 1.0. The medieval Barcelona was 2.0. It was surrounded by walls. They decided to surround the city by walls because at that time that looked like a clever decision. Now we say, why to be surrounded by walls? At that time it was necessary. Cities were surrounded by walls, and Barcelona 2.0 was surrounded by walls. And then Barcelona 3.0, there was a very intelligent man, a visionary. We have had many visionaries in the cities. We have had Gaudí, visionaries that are sometimes considered crazy people. But this guy, Ildefons Cerdà, who was the inventor of urban planning, of urbanization, decided that the city had to tear down the walls and rationalize itself and build the basic network of the city that you know today. So Barcelona 3.0 is much of at least from the outside, from the apparent point of view, is the city that we know today. Then, well, there were many things. Of course, this was related to the Industrial Revolution. And then the Olympics changed Barcelona. Barcelona, I think, is the best example of not celebrating the Olympic Games, but using the Olympic Games to change the city. Barcelona 4.0 was the Olympic Barcelona that used a particular event to change the city. But now, so this is the evolution of the city. Now we are facing a situation where the city, as in many other cities in the world, the city is basically there. The city that you can picture in a photograph is essentially there. But the real city is not the one that you get in postcards. The real city is the city of networks, of flows, of trade that you cannot picture. The city of people, because sometimes we tend to forget and that city that, as I think it was Rousseau who said, "Les maisons font la ville, mais les citoyens font la cité." The houses make up the village, but the citizens are the ones who make the city. So in fact, the city is a combination of many things. It's a combination of things, of people, of processes, of information. That the soul of the city is made out of citizens. So we have to face a situation in which we have to transform a city which is basically there and physically probably will not change much, but it really is changing every day. And with these technologies, with these mobile technologies, for the first time in history, we have the tool to measure the real city. Urban planners up till now only had the apparent city to deal with. but they didn't know what was going on in the real city. Now we know what is going on the real city. By the way, just as a comment, that those data today is held like a diamond by the operators. We will have to do something about that because that data belongs to the people and to the cities. So we will have to deal about that. I'm just really, well, say, amazed of how the operators say, aha, we've got the data and we are thinking about what we are going to do with it. The data belongs to the people because it's we the people that produce this data, and we have already paid for the use of that data. So we don't get communication for free. So that bring the data back to the people, and cities will decide what to do with that. But that's a side comment. Anyway, just to finalize, because well, I still have 6 minutes left. What do we believe in Barcelona that a smart city should be? Then we will measure it. We like to compete with other cities. We want to be the smartest in the class, but we have to build a class because otherwise there is no sense in competing. We have to establish a real competition with rules like the league, where Barcelona can beat Real Madrid or be beaten by Real Madrid, to Arsenal, Feyenoord, in this case, Barcelona, Dubai, Shanghai, Buenos Aires. We believe that, so if we talk about cities, cities are at the very least to be questioned about what they want to be when they grow old. So we believe that cities have to decide, before talking about smartness or whatever, they have to decide what they want to be in the middle of this ongoing tsunami of technology. Cities were born basically by the first big wave of revolution, which was agriculture. Before agriculture, there were no real cities. We humans established in cities because we had the agriculture. Then cities were changed and were modeled as we know them today by industry, the second big wave of revolution. And now we are with the third big wave, IT, information technologies, digitalization, the internet, mobile, call it however you want. This is a big, probably the biggest revolution. There is no question that the smartphones, and we are here to, we have gathered here on the order of 1,000 people from all over the world to talk about this these days and to make business out of this. Smartphones are the biggest technological revolution in history. So the question is, how is this going to affect our cities? How is this going to build into the fabric of our cities? And we believe that cities have to decide how, because it is not written. And yeah, it's not. We don't want it to be written by other actors than cities or citizens themselves. So we think that cities have to decide what they want to be, and not all cities may decide the same. For instance, in Barcelona, we are very happy with our city, but we think that we have to integrate these technologies in the fabric of the city and take them as an opportunity to improve the life of our citizens. Barcelona is good for food, Barcelona is good for tourism, Barcelona is good for the sunshine, Barcelona is good for many things, but these technologies have not yet been incorporated in the fabric of the city, and we think that in the next years, we have decided to take this opportunity as a way to improve the life of citizens. Maybe one of the most important points here is point number 7. We have faced this challenge trying to break silos. What do I mean by breaking silos? Any organization has silos in it, and city administration, as you may imagine, everywhere in every culture has different departments, different silos. And if you want to tackle projects on smart cities, projects of application of these technologies that are by their very same nature transversal in a siloed structured organization, you really can get a real mess. So the first thing to do, at least from our point of view, and we are trying to do it, we have probably not succeeded to do it completely, is to try to break silos. For example, we have built what in an Anglo-Saxon culture could be called the smart city department in our city hall, in our city council. We call it urban habitat department. But all departments of urban planning, environment, IT, infrastructure, mobility, transportation, we have put them in one single big department. I myself, I'm the CIO, so I'm the responsible for the IT department, but every week I get 2, 3, 4 times together with engineers, environmentalists, anthropologists, scientists from our own organization, and we talk to each other not about our department, but about the city. So we think that this is something that it has to be done. But there are other silos. There are the private and public silos. We are the city, there are the companies, there are the organizations. We have to break also the silos. The city of the future, even the city of today, is no longer a city, cannot be a city made out of silos, where on one side you have the administration, which has no technology, but buys technology to those who have the technology, and then they bring you bracelets and collars and mirrors for you to buy. No. We want to decide together what technology we use, for what we use this technology. And also we have to collaborate with the academia, with the researchers, with those who are interested in making sense out of this. So these silos have to be broken. But there is one final silo, and with this I end which are cities themselves. Every city is a silo. We are Barcelona, you are Dubai, there is Shanghai, there is Buenos Aires, and every city tends to try to solve their own problems, which are very similar to other cities' problems, and every company tries to sell its own solution to different cities. Why don't we get together and try to build the science of cities, the economy of cities? Because if a city has a problem, it's probably similar to other cities' problem, and then the solution is probably similar. That's how medicine was built. Years ago, we had pills, centuries ago, with alchemy, we had pills for children, pills for women, pills for the elderly, pills for the rich, pills for the poor. And we are human beings. And if you have a headache and I have a headache, probably the solution is very similar. No matter if I am a man, a woman, rich, poor, from Shanghai, from Barcelona, etc., old, young. Cities are very much alike. Cities are all different, thanks God, because if all in the world were Barcelonas, Barcelona would not make sense. Barcelona, you like Barcelona because it's unique. I like you because you are unique. We are all unique, but yet we share the same anatomy, we share the same physiology, we share the same metabolism. And we have to build on that instead of reinventing the wheel again and again. And that's our vision, and that's why we are fostering the idea of the city protocol, where scientists, citizens, cities, and companies get together and build the league, the World League of Cities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Manel.
Thank you. I'll have to leave.
If you want to leave, then that's fine.
Yeah, maybe.
We have to excuse Manel. Unfortunately, he has to go and make the city better. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That was fascinating. I would like to please excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm losing my voice a little bit. I'd like to now call Juan Luis Nunez Ticinetti to the stage. He is the head of Fundación País Digital, based out of Chile. He also has vast experience working in the telecoms and regulatory industry, both in the United States and in Chile. He served as the Chief of Staff to the Secretary of Communications and was Division Chief of the Development Fund Telecommunications. Juan Luis.
Thank you very much, Craig, for your presentation, and thank you, and thank the GSMA organization for giving us the chance to share with you all how Chile is, what are we doing, and what the País Digital Foundation is doing also. So I think we have a very great opportunity to start building smart cities. In Chile, we are just starting to implement some initiatives that we are going to talk in a few minutes. But I think that the first thing that I like to say is a big effort between public sector and private sector. And this is what the País Digital Foundation is doing. We articulate both sectors, private and public. So we are going to see in a few minutes some examples that we are going to push this alliance between public and private. So, but first, I think that Chile is having a very good time. So we have all the conditions to build a real smart cities, and just we are going to have a glance about how's Chile now, and then we are start talking about some initiative that we are doing in smart cities. Okay. Well, of course, we want to be a smart country. We want to have smart cities, and we're going to have smart people. So this is our dreams. Some numbers about Chile. You can see that we are more than 17 million people, and the urban household, the urban population is more than 80%. So as you may know, in 2040 and 2050, the world is going to get 80% of urban people. But in Chile, we already have 80% of urban people. So we need to start now, not thinking about it, but how to implement some initiative, because we already have 80% of urban population. In terms of households, you can see some numbers there. So the total urban are almost 4 million. In terms of education, I just want to make some picture about our country. We have almost 55% of the coverage of the higher education. So you can see how we can we have grown up between the 90s and between 2012. About poverty index. So in 1987, we had 45% of the poverty line, and then we have decreased, fortunately, until 14 or 15%. We are divided in 15 regions, in 345 municipalities, which is some problem because we have 345 majors, and we don't have the figure of the the charge of the major or the big major. So we have to live with it. We have to deal with it, which is a bit complicated, but we are working with them. This is important because our regions have a big budget, so they are willing to work with us, and they're willing to invest in some initiatives in smart cities. So the budget for 2014 is more than $1.5 billion. So, and once again, I insist, they are waiting for us to show them what can I do, what projects we can do for smart cities. We think that some factors of the success in Chile is we are a stable country, competitive, transparent, and we have business opportunities. Some figures that you can see there. We joined the OECD in 2010. We have had a very interesting amount of investment, foreign investment. In the World Economic Forum, we are in the 34 position. We have signed too many treaties, so Chile is a country that is really open to the world. We are willing to be open to the world, and you can see in Chile that too many students they really want to go abroad, to study abroad, to see how is the world. So this is the way how are we working now. Unfortunately, most of the students that are going abroad to study then go back to the country and stay there. Our per capita income, we're going to get the $20,000. We think about pretty soon. So this is important because last year the government launched the digital agenda. So the current impact of the ICT industry to the GDP is 5.2%. And the goal is to get the 10% in 2020. So this is the aim. This is the only aim of the digital agenda. There are some figures that digital figures that show you how is Chile doing right now. OECD report. We have this is pretty important since we have more than 40% of connection. So we are working very hard on this, and the private and public sector are doing very big efforts to increase that number. But innovation, the World Economic Forum told us, be careful. In innovation and education, Chile is not that good, according to the report. So we need to work harder on this. So finally, what are we doing in Chile in terms of smart cities? This is the Los Andes mountains at the end. And the picture is from the top of a building in Santiago. Some initiatives in smart city are based on the digital agenda. And we have a program called Chile Atiende, which is mainly focused on how to get the state closer to the citizens. And this is we think that this is one of the most successful initiatives that is currently working in Chile. Transport Informa is an initiative that was created by the Ministry of Transportation and Telecommunication. And this is we think, the main ministry that it has in their head that the smart city is really, really important. They created a smart cities unit. They have a team specialized in a smart city, and have not a trial anymore. They already implemented an information system to the citizens in the south of Chile. So now they are replicating this project in some other regions in Chile. Basically, they are giving information to citizens about transportation, mainly about transportation in buses, in airplanes, in trains. The Ministry of Health, they also have their own digital agenda. And they are trying to implement this year a telemedicine project. In our foundation, we created an area. We have 12, 13 companies that are supporting us. So the smart cities area in our foundation is articulating, as I told you, private sector and public sector. So we did in last August a very nice big event in Santiago, along with the CEPAL, with the Ministry of Transportation and Telecommunication. We are going to do that this year again in July. But the most important thing from this is that the two task force begins one technical table and one institutional table. In the technical table, we have 20 companies that are really willing to invest and have projects in some cities. And the institutional table, we have joined 8 ministries. So, as I told you, the Ministry of Transportation and Telecommunication has the Transporte Informa project. So they use information service and validate the information, and then they publish the information where? Website, broadcasting radios, and TV station. And this has been a very well evaluated project in our country. They also have traffic control centers. They operate some units in the main regions in our country, and they have 2 public transport control centers. They have also some project with Bluetooth to identify traffic conditions, to improve user information system, and finally to suggest new routes. So as you can see, they know very well that we have to know what is going on in our cities now. There is a unit of modernization of the state that have some apps, as you can see there, e-drugstore, e-fuel, and e-Transantiago also. So we have also a very, very nice project in the city of Concepcion, in the south of Chile. And we are working together with the World Bank and the Ministry of Transportation. So we think that Concepcion is going to be probably, most likely, the first smart city in Chile. The World Bank is currently working there. And the World Bank experts have been there 3 times. They're going to be there again next month. So we basically want to co-create, to have a design thinking system. And we are going to have some results in May or June of this year. So in this city, the political support has been a key factor, the political support and the private industry support. So we are going to develop some technological solutions. We're going to have a hackathon in one app challenge. And we are going to implement some of the recommendations that the World Bank are going to tell us. We also have a project in Santiago, which is the capital. It's a project that the one energy company is doing there with all of these things that are showing up now. So, but we really think that maybe not Santiago is a city with 6 million people. So this project is mainly based on a very specific neighborhood there. But we really are pushing that the first smart city can be in some smaller city. We also have a project in Valdivia, which is in the south of the country, with the Inter-American Development Bank in all of these issues that you are seeing now. Antofagasta, which is the main mining cities, is also doing something very interesting. And at the end, I want to finish with the NFC trial that we are working on, the GSMA. So we basically want the people this year to start paying the metro and the public transportation in the metropolitan area with the mobile phone. So we have joined the public sector here, the Ministry of Economy, the Ministry of Transportation, all of the mobile operators. País Digital could join the 5 mobile operators in one big project, and Metro is willing to do this, and we really think that this is going to be a driver for the rest of the country, and we really think that the project is going to be implemented in June or July. So, as I told you, we think that that Chile is in a good moment. We have very good conditions to start building smart cities, and we want to invite you all that go there and help us to continue working with the smart cities. As you can see, there are many projects, but we have to make a next step, which is to build a city model. So please come to our country and start working together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jean-Louis. I'll go to Chile. If you're inviting me, I'll go. I would now like to invite Abdullah Al-Jaziri to come and speak. Abdullah is a Vice President of Strategy at Etisalat, based out in the UAE, and he's also very close. He also plays a very close role with the Smart City the Dubai Smart City Committee, and hopefully he's here to tell us a bit more about that. Abdullah.
Good morning. First of all, I will not go back to the history as CIO of Barcelona did, but I'll focus on the modernization phases of Dubai, which a new city. It's a bit young, and it's the modernization happened only in the last 40 years. Before I start, I'd like to invite you to Dubai, because Dubai, it's a city that doesn't wait for the future, but create the future to be lived now. The city that has 200 nationalities living together in one of the safest cities in the world. And also, we have almost 50 million visitors every year. And that number is growing year by year and expected to reach 100 million visitors in 2020, where around 25 million visitors are expected to participate in Dubai Expo 2020. As you notice, the name of Dubai was repeated almost every day in the Congress this year. It started with a speech of our group CEO and the opening keynote of the GSMA this year, where he highlighted the commitment of our government on the smart city and smart government initiatives, and how we are lucky as a telecom operator and also the people in UAE for such type of commitment from our government. Also on the second day, our group chief digital officer, Mr. Khalifa, he presented on the Smart City, Smarter Living conference the different services and initiatives that has been done by Salat to achieve our government vision and being one of the smartest city in the world. Although I'm from Salat, but today in this session I'll be wearing the hat of the government. And as it has been highlighted, I'm working closely with the government in terms of the smart city. And I'll present Dubai from their point of view. However, before starting with Dubai, I'd like just to talk about Salat and why we are playing this role. We are growing hand in hand with the UAE. And this is from the history. We launched our we launched the mobile network, the first mobile network in UAE in 1982. And also, for that we were the first in the Middle East. And also, that followed by launching the first GSM in the Middle East in 1994. We continued our role in being the regional leaders in the telecom sector. And we launched the regional first internet service in the region, followed by the first GSM network, 3G network in the region, and followed by the first LTE network in the region. So, when the sky is not your limit, you become among the stars. Etisalat is among the top 500 corporations in the world, and has global presence in 15 countries. Also, Etisalat is the most powerful brand in the UAE, and also one of the most valuable brands in the region after our sister company, Emirates Airlines. As I highlighted, Etisalat is the first to launch LTE network in the region, and one of the highest LTE coverage in the world. Also, Etisalat is #1 in the world in terms of fiber network, as we have a fiber network with the length of 8 times the distance between the Earth and the Moon. And we are offering a 500 MB bandwidth as part of our FTTH services. We operate in a dynamic world with high demand from customers and governments. Actually, we cannot cope with the demand of the government that we have in UAE. UAE has the highest number of penetration in terms of smartphones. And this encouraged our government to launch the Smart Government Initiative last year. The vision of our government in terms of smart government is to provide governmental service with hotel standards working 24/7. From the user end user smartphone and over the latest technology. Also, in October last year, Dubai government announced their initiative for smart city. And that happened with a tweet from Sheikh Mohammed, where he highlighted creating an international city model and a new and better reality for our people is our purpose. Before proceeding with Dubai Phase 3, I'd like just to go on it's not that long in the history, but to highlight what has been done in the previous phases of Dubai. In Phase 1, which is in the 70s and 80s, Dubai focused on building the base of the infrastructure itself, of the city. So Dubai Airport has been built. And Dubai Airport is the second busiest airport in the world currently, and expected to become the most busiest airport in 2015. Also, Jebel Ali Airport. It's the biggest man-made airport, seaport that has been done, in addition to other infrastructure that has been done in UAE. However, in Phase 2, the focus was a modernization of the city and its infrastructure. And the picture can tell the story. You can see the difference between Dubai just in 13 years. It's the same picture for the same area. Also, in Dubai, and only within 10 years, complete new cities were created from nothing. So let's start with Dubai Phase 3, the Dubai Smart City. The vision of our government is to improve quality of life in Dubai by embracing innovation to make Dubai more efficient, seamless, safe, and deliver an enriched city experience through smart technology. Dubai government sets 4 roles and 4 goals, strategic goals to be achieved. Efficient Dubai by improving the use of city resources. So there is already resources that has been done and it will be utilized. Seamless Dubai by offering an integrated and information-rich smart services. Safe Dubai by using innovative security services. Experience Dubai by improving the city experience through a collaborative approach with all city stakeholders. In Dubai, several smart initiatives already in place and several new initiatives on the way to be implemented. Therefore, the government is working to leverage the city assets to enrich the city life through through more collaborative, smart services, rather than previous silo approach. And as highlighted by the CIO of Barcelona, the issue with the government that they are working in silos. And currently in Dubai, we are trying to come with a one unified approach among all the governments. Here I'd like to present some of the existing initiatives, smart initiatives in Dubai and UAE that will help achieving the government vision. If we go to the e-learning, there are more than 11,000 students from 123 schools enrolled in the e-learning initiative and have all their classes delivered by smart interactive classrooms and via their personal tablets that provided by the government. Also, in terms of mHealth, we have several initiatives are in the implementation phase, and also recently Ministry of Health and GSMA, they signed an MOU to collaborate in providing additional mHealth initiatives. M-Identity will integrate the national ID and the SIM cards with additional governmental services, and all will be delivered through a single wallet. Other example of smart city initiatives in Dubai, transportation. We have the latest transportation that has been set in the country, and all of them, they are integrated to one payment method. It's one NFC card that also now is available in the mobile, so it's a mobile NFC card that you can pay across all your transportation in Dubai. And the card is called NOL, which is, it means in Arabic, like the payment method or something else. Also in terms of energies, several government buildings are equipped with smart solutions to control the use of energy and water. Also, recently Dubai government announced allocation of $2 billion to convert the existing meterings in the city to smart meters. Also, although I don't like this slide because I'm coming from a mobile operator, but also several areas in Dubai are offering public Wi-Fi as part of the government initiative to have internet across all the public area. So it's available in malls, hospitals, public parks, everywhere. Also, part of the smart government initiative, several governmental entities in Dubai, they established their own apps across multiple operating systems. And you can find multiples of services served by the mobile apps, 24/7. So, Dubai government aims for the following desired outcome from this initiative. Consolidate city infrastructure that leverage the city assets. Open and secure city data orchestration that prevent the existing silos. Provide one platform for city application development. Unified dashboard for the decision makers. Involve stakeholders themselves in defining the smart city based on their needs. And finally, Dubai Smart City to be the global leading model. And I'd like to share with me the vision of a government for the new Dubai. Can you put the audio, please?
الحياة كلها تعقيدات، بس مع التطور الصعب يهون.
It's why we're here.
Dear Kim, we've updated your residency. Have a safe journey home.
كيف الدراسة معكم؟
كويس الحمد لله.
تمام؟ مرحبا أحمد، حصلت على أعلى درجة في العلوم. ربحت واجهة المستخدم الشخصية، تعال علشان تاخذها.
It must be some kind of intuition.
Hi Kim, welcome back to Dubai. It's a bit warmer than London. Hope business goes well.
Thank you.
وصل أحمد للمدرسة مستانس وفرحان.
الحمد لله.
يحتاج علي للتطعيم. 28 فبراير الساعة 2 وقت مناسب؟
طيب بس ممكن تبعثون رسالة لزوجتي من فضلكم وذكروني قبلها بيوم.
Doctor, we're ready now.
Thank you.
We pretty much know what's ahead.
Al Jabiya Street opened off next exit to Design District. Save you 30 minutes.
Mom, I miss you. Bye, Mom. Bye, Mom.
لأن التكنولوجيا اليوم صارت جزء من حياتنا وطورت نظرتنا للعالم.
Yeah, not too bad. I just wanted to chat to you basically before we meet on Friday.
Imagine living in a world of space-age service where everything works one step ahead of you.
سعود، بواب حكومتكم موظف شامل راشد تم تعيينه عشان يشتغل معاك.
ألف شكر.
Day in, day out. Making life easier.
سميها ذكاء اصطناعي، واجهة مستخدم، أو ببساطة الخادم الوفي اللي بيهتم فيك وفيني. ومن يدري يمكن يجي يوم والحكومات تلحقنا خطوة بخطوة.
حكومة دبي.
Thank you, and please visit #MyDubai to see Dubai by the eyes of Dubai people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. And I can certainly speak from personal experience that the pace at which Dubai is developing is actually truly terrifying more than anything else. I'd like to now invite Sherry Zamir to the stage. Sherry is the Vice President of Middle East and Africa for Gemalto. Vice President of Telecommunication Solutions for the Middle East and Africa at Gemalto. He's got 20 years experience working in the industry, expertise in machine-to-machine, LTE, mobile marketing, mobile financial service solutions. He is also based out in Dubai, but he's very kindly said that he'd come to speak to us about what's happening in Africa, another dynamic and growing region. Sherry.
Thank you, Craig. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, I'd like to start off with thanking Abdullah for that wonderful insight into Dubai. I do live in Dubai, and it is an absolutely fascinating city. So I start off with, he leads me on very nicely to my first slide, which is a picture of Dubai. And as we look at smart cities, we hear a lot of buzzwords around what is happening in the industry. M2M, NFC, LTE, wearable devices, Wi-Fi connectivity. And that is not Africa. Perhaps that's where Africa would like to be. But just to introduce you to Africa, I think when we do our presentations internally and we talk about Africa, we put up the map for Africa. And by landmass alone, you could fit in Europe, most of Asia, and all of Africa into the single landmass of Africa. It is absolutely huge. But one of the things that you pick up when you work in a continent like Africa is to have to manage the diversity. You have some of the richest mineral states in the world and some of the poorest countries in the world. You have people with no mobile phones and no connectivity and people with smartphone devices over LTE. And that diversity is very important. And how do you bring it into a smart city initiative? The benefit of looking at smart city initiatives in Africa is, although it's behind the rest of the world and there are some initiatives already in place, it has the advantage of taking best practices from around the world. And a conference like this is very valuable to Africa to learn about these best practices and try and implement them back into their own smart city initiatives. So I don't represent a city here today. I don't represent a mobile operator. I represent a company. The company is Gemalto, and Gemalto has been working in this industry for a very long time, providing products and solutions to mobile operators, governments, banks, and large industrial companies. So when we look at smart city initiatives, we're ticking all of the right boxes in terms of solutions that we can provide. But how do you, one of the things that we try and do when we talk about smart city initiatives in Africa is to open up the bonnet and look under the hood into the engine and see, is there any commonality? Is there an architecture that you can implement? Life would be amazing if people came to us and say, I'd like 3 smart city boxes, please. And we'd just go to our shelves, pick them up and implement them. But it isn't that simple. It means many different things to many different people. So the concepts of a smart city are very important. Before we even look at technology and we look at the implementation and innovation and creativity in a smart city initiative. And some of these concepts that are being designed into these initiatives are around very basic needs. And the most basic need in Africa, before we can even start looking at smart cities, is connectivity. And this is why GSM operators, not just in Africa but around the world, have a very big role to play in providing basic connectivity to the people of Africa. If you have connectivity, you can have education, you can have health, you can have security to the outskirts of Africa, where the need isn't really to have iPads to access multimedia content, but just for basic education and learning. So connectivity is the backbone of any smart city initiative in Africa. And once connectivity is established, and you are part of a smart city ecosystem, you then have to announce your identity on the network. And all my esteemed colleagues talked about it earlier in terms of security. These services are great, but they need to be secure. And in order for a service to be secure, your identity passed on to the smart city ecosystem, and that must be authenticated. And once you have been identified in this smart city world, then the list of applicable services can be applied to you. So building the layer of identity and authentication above the connectivity layer is the start and the formulation of a smart city ecosystem. Once we've done that, then we can start looking at different initiatives that we can bring in around transport, education, health, and so on. So what we do in Africa when we talk about smart city initiatives is to come up with a basic set of design principles. And I put these up. In the top left, you see it's about connectivity with mobility. Once you have that, to boost economic developments. one of the greatest examples in terms of an economic development around mobile commerce that came out of Africa was M-Pesa. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. Improved the life expectancy, you know, and this is tied in very closely to M-Health initiatives in a smart city ecosystem. Enhance public services. In South Africa, for example, one of the biggest initiatives that came about was to have everybody on an enrollment program to have a national identity. That national identity is a smart card, and that smart card will then build on to provide services to that individual. What we might take for granted in a more developed city is actually a very basic need that is not there in Africa today. So the identity layer that is sitting above the connectivity layer is now starting to put some shape into what a smart city looks like. I don't think we'll eventually get to a grey box that we can push along saying this is the smart city box, but at least we can start building those architectures for Africa. Streamline immigration. I mean, we did a project in Ghana where we have a border control solution which is based on identity and authentication using smart card technology. Promote sustainability. What you see in terms of smart metering or smart grid solutions for smart cities in Europe is not the same as utility management or M2M in Africa. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. So having established the connectivity layer, we need to build a trust infrastructure. If we are going to ask for services in Africa, we need to identify ourselves. We need to ensure that the transactions that we're making in this ecosystem are secure. They are applicable to us. It eliminates fraud, especially when we look at initiatives around mobile commerce, for example. So I put the messages up. The basic message that comes out of that layer is to build a trust infrastructure. And these two layers of connectivity and trust are common. So when we look at working with different stakeholders in a particular city in Africa around what they can do around a smart city initiative, to take a bottom-up approach and start from the ground level, we look at enhancing the connectivity, and the mobile operators and the fixed operators as well have a great role to play there. We look at the stakeholders taking the ownership of building a trust infrastructure over that connectivity layer, and then we look at different use cases that are applicable to the citizens in that African city. So trust is very important. And to build a state-of-the-art, and I say state-of-the-art trust infrastructure because when we look at the more advanced smart cities around the world, and we look at some of the experiences that you can have in a smart city initiative that might not be applicable in Africa today, and Africa may be slightly behind the curve in terms of development, but here's the real trick for Africa. It doesn't take long to catch up. It is extremely fast. So if you had a blank canvas, it doesn't take long because you can start from scratch and implement these best practices. So really, it is about building a state-of-the-art trust infrastructure. And in that, you have the ability to authenticate all different form factors, whether it comes from a smart card, a SIM card, a client application on a smartphone, a wearable device. These are the form factors that allow you to access different forms of services. As we saw in the little clip from Abdullah earlier on, there were different form factors that were coming into play, but each one of those will need to be identified, trusted, and secured in the transactions in the Smart City Initiative. So these are the ideas in which we build the layered approach of building smart cities in Africa. And the design principles are around the connectivity and trust, but also what do we achieve when we get to the end of the whole smart city project in an African city? Economic prosperity and political stability. It's extremely important. I mean, when we looked at the smart card initiatives and to be able to have digital signage and security solutions to access government services, that actually removed a lot of red tape, actually enhance the efficiency of the process for very simple basic government needs. And it also instills governance in the entire process, that people can trust the process as well. And that's also a smart city initiative. Smart city initiatives must be able to give people opportunities so that they can enhance their full potential. So the technologies and innovations that you implement into this architecture, into this ecosystem of a smart city, must create opportunities. And that's extremely important for Africa. What we do in terms of a smart city initiative must also have a layer of efficiency in terms of energy management to leave a more healthy and a greener planet for our generations to come as well. And the end result of that is to actually enhance the quality of life for the people of Africa and enhance their user experiences. So in terms of connectivity and mobility, the growth rate in terms of the mobile subscriber base in Africa has been, over the last 5 years, in excess of 18% year on year. It is the fastest growing, in the sub-Saharan region of Africa is the fastest growing in terms of mobile connections around the world. With mobile connectivity being higher than fixed line connectivity, mobile connectivity is coming forward as the emerging de facto standard for the citizens of Africa over which they will access services. Some of the countries in Africa that we're looking at are at 2G today. And just to give you an appreciation of the pace of development in Africa, some of these countries are bypassing the 3G stage and going straight to 4G. Because LTE is a great bearer medium for broadband connectivity rather than fixed line connectivity. Whereas in Europe, it may take longer for 4G to come about. In Africa, it doesn't take that long. Rwanda, for example, can accelerate from 2G to 4G faster than any other country in the world. And it's that basic connectivity that will be required over which smart cities will be deployed. Smart healthcare, for example, is not about, in Africa, it's not just about monitoring chronic illness parameters through wearable devices. It could be about solutions that are deployed to look at infant mortality rates in remote areas in Kenya, for example. Because that is a very different requirement in mHealth to what you might get in Europe. But to be able to do that, the underlying layers of connectivity and trust must be in place, and the form factors will come into play. Doctors aren't able to get to the remotest parts in Africa, and sometimes not in time either. But there can be programs in place where you can have community nurse concepts in remote parts of Africa which can collect vital information in terms of measuring infant mortality rates and administer basic healthcare over a connected network, a trusted connected network, through the community nurses to the patient. Sometimes these patients will have to walk 8 to 10 kilometers just to get to a clinic. So the environment for Africa in terms of implementing smart healthcare solutions is very different to what you might find in other places in the world. I have 28 seconds. I don't think I can talk that fast for the next 10 slides, so I'll just go through some of the highlights, if I may. In terms of m-commerce, I talked about the M-Pesa trigger that started a revolution in terms of mobile commerce, but here are again some of the differences between what happens in Africa and what happens in the rest of the world. Most of the citizens of Africa are unbanked. So if you are going to implement solutions in terms of mobile commerce, you would have to cater for that diversity as well. I wanted to showcase this particular solution, which is called M-Copper, which is around smart energy management. So in a remote village in Kenya, for example, you could use your mobile device to actually buy energy credits through your mobile prepaid account, and that energy credit will then be able to have give you through this particular device a light source in your little hut, and it comes in two different flavors. A very simple solution, but a solution very much applicable for Africa. I'll skip past the e-government part and the border control part, and come to this particular slide. So in terms of bringing together not just the architecture of connectivity and the trusted infrastructure and the health care and the transport services that you can run over it, which is now looking under the hood of a smart city initiative, we also have to communicate with each other. The government entities, the mobile operators, and the regulators must come together and create these initiatives. And this is what Africa is doing. It's learning from the initiatives around the world and implementing these best practices today, over which we will build these architectures for smart cities in the flavor of Africa. To close off, I'd like to coin a phrase from the last World Cup, where everybody in Africa was singing the same theme, that it's time for Africa. It wasn't a South African theme, it was an African theme. And I think if Africa is to come into the Smart City Consortium, it must come together. So what we do in terms of facilitating these discussions between the government entities, the GSM operators and the regulators, and we have a part to play in bringing technology and innovation into this ecosystem. We talk to all of the different parties involved in Africa to implement a continent-wide framework and blueprint for smart cities, rather than one that is applicable just to a particular city, and then add the different flavors depending on what the needs are for the citizens. I've run over my time, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sherry. Yeah, let me get this. So yes, Africa, obviously an amazing region with a lot of potential. I'd like to, our final speaker is Michael Zito. Michael co-chairs the Mobile Atlanta for Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. Mobile Atlanta is a C-level-led mobility task force which has brought together many of the leading Fortune 500 companies, emphasizing and implementing the smart city pillars. Michael is also currently a director of corporate development and mobile strategy at AT&T Mobility. Michael.
All right, we are probably not going to have a lot of time for questions afterwards, so I'll make this presentation available to anybody that would like to see it, and we'll be available outside as well. Thank you for having me today. I'm looking forward to working with all of the cities and countries and organizations that are represented here. I think a good point was made. We are an initiative led by a nonprofit, the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. And we are leveraging the private sector versus the public sector. We're starting with C-level executives that have formed a mobility task force with the goal to pull together all of the mobile technology related assets that are in Atlanta, and there are quite a few, as well as the universities, the startup community, tie it together and mobilize that ecosystem. To market Atlanta and let the world know that Atlanta is today already a global hub for mobility. And we've done this in part by looking at smart city indicators of other smart city initiatives. We just happen to have a particular focus on mobile, which lines up nicely with some of the things that GSMA is doing today and some of the research that Alex and his team are doing at Sheffield. So about Atlanta. We're home to almost 6 million people, and what you may not know about Atlanta, Georgia, is we are an international city. There's a lot of talk about San Fran and the Valley in New York. People don't realize that Atlanta is also a technology hub in the United States and a very international city. A lot of this is driven by our airport, which is one of the busiest in the world. And frankly, Delta Airlines is our hometown airline. Richard Anderson, their CEO, is very involved in the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, as well as this mobility initiative. Delta leverages many mobile technologies and applications to run their business, so they're very involved as well. 75 countries have representation in Atlanta in the form of a consulate or trade office. Jorge Fernandez, our Global Vice President of Global Commerce and Economic Development for the Chamber, has done a great job, him and his team, by recruiting many companies to Atlanta. We've got 2,100 foreign-owned facilities there that employ over 100,000 workers. We've also got a large international student population that attends 66 universities that are throughout the metro Atlanta area, with a heavy focus on engineering, mobile computing programs, wireless technology development programs, and we've got universities like Georgia Tech that anchor a lot of that. Atlanta has some very specific industry clusters and strengths that tie back to mobile technology in some form as it starts to evolve. We were always strong for internet and network security, which will apply to mobility. Digital content entertainment, we're the home to CNN and Turner, also the Weather Channel. We've got financial transaction processing. Many global payments companies are located in Atlanta, which is allowing to leverage the transaction infrastructure and have mobility-related applications built on top of that. And then health IT. And of course, mobile technology application and services, which we'll talk about today as it relates to some of these smart city indicators that GSMA has laid out. We're currently, as they say, eating our own dog food. We have an extensive video system monitoring traffic flow, leveraging the mobile ecosystem to transport that data back. We've got more than 200 startups related to mobility and a various robust incubator and innovation center ecosystem in Atlanta that works with those startups, and then some major R&D and innovation centers around mobile application development, connected living, and connected car. These are some of those Fortune 500 headquarters that I talked about. Coca-Cola, Delta, UPS, NCR, they're all located in Atlanta. And then we've got some Fortune 1000 companies which are very active in the mobility task force that I'm going to talk to you about. They are not as well known, but they're all leveraging many different types of mobile technologies and big data strategies to drive value for their consumers and for their business partners. So what is Mobile Atlanta? Mobile Atlanta is an initiative that was started by the Chamber of Commerce when the university presidents, members of the Chamber, GSMA, and the C-level executives in private industry were brought together to talk about Atlanta and how it fits in mobile technology and where the mobile life is going. What we found was that we have a lot of the assets in place in Atlanta today. We've had them for many years. A lot of the building blocks that are going to be leveraged to connect people and things. And so we sat down and said, look, we are already a global hub for mobility and for mobile technology. We're probably, from what we can tell, the leading hub in the United States. And yes, I know there's Silicon Valley, but as I said, as it relates to mobility, Atlanta is very, very strong. And so we developed a vision. Let's focus on tying this ecosystem together and look at mobility for the real world. So how citizens can benefit from it, how the government can benefit from it, and then, of course, how businesses can benefit from it. So we brought all these smart people together, created a task force, and prior to creating this task force, we started to focus on strategic levers. Again, we started with putting smart city building blocks in place. So regardless of what smart city program we wanted to pursue a designation of, we were able to have certain things in place that you would need to become one of those smart cities. As it so happens, GSMA has developed a program that ties back very well, as I said, and we have this task force that's co-chaired by myself, Ralph Della Vega, who's the CEO of AT&T Mobility, and that is headquartered in Atlanta. John Camphy, the CFO of Turner, which is a major mobile content provider. And then we've got this mobility steering committee that's made up of over 200 people. So we've got a lot of folks mobilized already. and we have access to a lot of resources that are in place. And again, being led by the private sector, we can move quicker than government. We are working with government closely. We're working with the city and the state, and we have letters of support around our initiatives from the mayor, from the governor, and other CIDs or community improvement districts throughout the Atlanta metro area. So we're all working very closely together. We've taken those 200 volunteers and we've broken them down based on those 6 strategic levers into work groups. And those work groups will be grow and innovate. That work group's goal is to help create mobile technology companies and innovation around that and help them accelerate their growth, connect them quicker to those companies that I mentioned earlier so that they could be first customers, and then connect them to sources of capital. Attract and expand. One of the goals of the Chamber is obviously economic development and job creation. So how do we, as we show people that we are a global mobile technology hub, how do we help them open facilities in Atlanta to connect to that ecosystem? And then how do we help the existing companies grow their businesses leveraging this initiative? And then skilled workforce. We are starting at the STEM level and starting to promote skill sets needed around mobile technology and application development to students, get them interested, get them engaged in the universities, and then make sure that those students get the skill sets that our businesses need to grow and the ones that move to Atlanta need to grow, and maintain that they stay in Atlanta and help the city grow as a whole. And then promote. How do we promote this effort around what we're doing? So hosting a series of events that connect the people that are related to mobile technology in Atlanta, and then some global events like the Rutberg conference that we're hosting in May that's pulling together 350 to 400 C-level executives March 22nd to the 24th, and focusing on M2M, which would include IoT, which has been a big buzzword here today, and certainly the other M-commerce and mobility-related technologies, and how big businesses are using them. Again, private sector support that we have, you'll recognize a lot of the brands up there. On the side here, we've got some associations that are public-private or nonprofits that are working closely with us, and so that's our layout for the activities and those strategic activities and key developments for mobility and Metro Atlanta and the Mobile Atlanta Initiative. Just over the last 12 months, AT&T Mobility has actually opened a foundry, one of 5 in the world. It was actually the 4th one opened, focused on mobile apps and connected living. We have AT&T Drive Studio, so it's a connected car lab. Georgia Tech has one of the top engineering programs in the United States. It's got mobile computing labs, wireless engineering programs. Little known fact about Atlanta, Emory University has one of the leading data and analytics programs in the world and is turning out data scientists left and right. One of the aspects of mobility, as we all know as industry professionals, is going to be data and how do you use the data. And as it relates to the smart city initiatives, how do you use the data to better citizens' lives in government and in private sector and in business. So we have chosen to approach this by a specific initiative called Mobile Midtown. And in Mobile Midtown, we will actually be rolling out various different solutions. We have something called the Mobile Mile. We have something called the Mobile Mile that we refer to that is really from the airport to Alpharetta, which is a 25-mile area. It's, in essence, very difficult to implement a set of solutions and execute on a model to mobilize citizens and businesses. Inside of that, we decided to take a very small area, the task force, and break it down to 2 miles in a very dense area of Atlanta. We think that this is this Midtown area and the solutions that we roll out that will benefit everybody that you see listed here, the types of solutions. We feel like this is a repeatable model. So once we develop how we will roll this out, the resources that it takes, who you need to get involved, we'll then take this and we'll roll it out into the airport. We'll roll it out into other parts of Atlanta and of the 29 surrounding counties that partner with the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. So in essence, when we talk about repeatable models, that's what we're trying to do in a very dense area of Atlanta. That's also going to provide us with a lot of data, and with the private partners that we have involved, there'll be data that we'll be able to share with you all at Sheffield, and I think help move the initiative along for the global good. We've got full-time resources dedicated to this as well. We've got members at the Chamber of Commerce that have a part of their time dedicated. We're hiring a full-time resource to project manage some of these initiatives like Mobile Midtown and some of the interactions. Again, we've got 200 plus volunteers. We've got C-level support leading this, I believe over 25 of them. And then those C-level leaders are also vendors and partners of what we're trying to do. And in some cases, we'll be subsidizing solutions that are going to be rolled out to merchants, for instance, like NFC-enabled POS terminals. So we will be leveraging the private sector to help us really move a lot of these initiatives forward in a quick manner. In the last couple minutes, I just want to tell you how we tie back to some of the smart city indicators as they've been outlined on the website. We play very well in 3, and we're gaining momentum in the 4th. Mobile apps, we're the number 4 state in the nation in 2012 for jobs attributed to mobile application development, which then lines up with being one of the top 10 metro areas with the highest percentage of that. University ecosystems, incubators, working closely with the community, being very collaborative and focused on mobile technology development. Payment, 70% of all of the credit and debit card transactions in the United States are processed through Georgia and primarily Atlanta-based companies. And so there's a lot being built on top of that. NCR, First Data, TSYS, and Equifax are headquartered in Georgia and Atlanta. Mobile access to data, we've got 1,400 hotspots and rolling out more and more. We've got a large Cisco presence in Atlanta. Again, AT&T Mobility is headquartered there. The southeastern headquarters of Verizon is there as well, and the president of that group is very involved. And then when you talk about smart city engagement, we did an event last year. It was the inaugural. It was called Mobility Live. We had 82 speakers, all experts in mobile technology, from advertising all the way to development, to Ralph Della Vega, who was the CEO, again, of AT&T Mobility, and we pulled them all together in one place. These were college students up through those C levels. We started to develop a sense of collaboration. There was 25 tracks. This year, that event is going to be actually a day and a half and maybe done in conjunction with the global GSMA event as well. Mobile startups in the mobile cluster, I think I've talked about that. We have a very strong mobile cluster in various different sectors, from mHealth and what will be wearables through payments, through having carriers headquartered there, and a critical mass of mobility-related high talent companies that have resources that we can leverage. And we're also the North American headquarters of Sony Mobile Communications, for those of you that didn't know that. So in the last 30 seconds, I'll wrap it up, try to stay on time. We've made great strides in a short period of time. We really sat down in 2011, started the end of 2012. 2013 was the year when we really had some actionable things happen. We've been led by the private sector and supported by government, as I've said, so we've been able to move fast. We've got access to private funds and strong public and nonprofit partnerships. We've got that group of workers mobilized of 200 plus the CEOs and their teams, and we've got solutions ready to roll out that will add benefit to the researchers, citizens, governments, and businesses. And phase 2 is really to engage deeper with the city. So with our transportation authority, with MARTA, with the city of Atlanta, with the state, what do they need? And let's start to tie this back. And your presentations were very helpful to me to be able to take back some things that we can work with them on, and I think share the data with the group. So thank you for having me today. If you have any questions, we'll be around afterwards.
Thank you. Can I just have a round of applause for our panel for their fantastic work? We have run out of time, so if I could please ask you to move out as quickly as possible so we can get the new seminar in, that would be great. I'm sure the guys will be around to answer any questions that you might have outside. Thank you very much, everybody.